Welcome back to the TWSN YouTube channel. Today, some more NBA focus. We all just kind of seen the bombshell that was dropped around the league. Kevin Durant officially wanting out of Brooklyn. We kind of saw the whole Kyrie news. Maybe thought he would be the one out, and then we would see if KD wanted out. But first coming, Kevin Durant requesting a trade from the Brooklyn Nets. That obviously inspired this video, and we're going to hop in straight into some trade predictions, some possible landing spots for KD based on rumors, just some fun, just a little bit of everything. So yeah, let's start getting into that now. The first team up that was on one of his preferred destination list, boom, the Phoenix Suns. In this deal, we have the Suns obviously getting Kevin Durant in 2 seconds, but the Nets would be getting back Jay Crowder, Bridges, Ayton, in a crap load of picks. Matt, why don't you tell me why this trade makes sense? Not for both sides, because at the end of the day, the Nets are losing Kevin Durant, but just tell me why this trade makes sense a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, look, this news that Kevin Durant wanted out of Brooklyn, we all kind of saw it coming somewhat maybe, but maybe not this soon, right? Like, he still has 4 years on his deal. So if you're the Phoenix Suns, and Kevin Durant, obviously, it's been reported that Phoenix and Miami are his two preferred teams. It doesn't mean the Suns are going to get him, because the Nets can trade him anywhere. But if they want to work with Kevin Durant a little bit and not kind of blackball themselves going forward with superstars, you might want to send him to Phoenix or Miami. And, this Phoenix deal makes some sense because Phoenix owns the majority of their picks. And if you're the Nets, you're getting back decent value. Like, obviously, nothing is going to be the same as Kevin Durant. I mean, this is Kevin Durant we're talking
I think that's the thing people need to understand in these trade talks and in these trade rumors and even these trades that we're about to show you. The price tag for Kevin Durant is really unmatched. But this is just, there's a giving point somewhere. And this is kind of where we see the line based with, like I said, the rumors, just expectations in general. So continue.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the closest thing that we've seen to what the Nets are going to get for him is the Anthony Davis deal from a few years ago. A couple young players, couple good players, and then some picks. Right. And this kind of does everything because, DeAndre Ayton is a restricted free agent. So the Nets would be hard capping themselves here because they would likely sign him to a 4-year max deal here. Then they get Bridges, who is a defensive specialist, and his offensive game has improved every year.
Yep.
And Jay Crowder is more of a throw-in piece, but Jay Crowder isn't bad. He can knock down threes. He plays defense. He's tough. The key for the Nets in this deal is Bridges, Ayton, and then, like you said, the crap ton of picks they get.
5 first rounders.
Yeah, and 3 of them would be unprotected. They traded a lot of their first-round picks to the Houston Rockets in that James Harden deal, so they'd be recouping some of those assets. And honestly, the years that we selected, 2026, 2027, 2029, it would be pretty good for the Nets because if we're being honest, if the Suns were to, go ahead and make this trade, they have I want to say 1 to 3 year window because Chris Paul's up there in age. Kevin Durant's up there in age. But that would be a hell of a 1 to 3 year window.
Absolutely.
So the Nets could technically be getting some really good lottery picks here if they were to do this deal. So I think this deal makes a ton of sense on both sides.
Absolutely. And another thing, again, this isn't going to be it for Brooklyn. They're more likely going to trade Kyrie as well. So then you have that to recoup as many assets as well. But just with this deal, again, you're getting 2 young, really solid players. I don't want to call it, they're on the brink of stardom, I think, in my opinion. Bridges is you're glorified, really, 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 really good role player that does everything you want him to do. Ayton, a little bit to develop, but the potential is still there. Former #1 pick plus all those picks. There ain't much else to it. It is what it is for Kevin Durant. We're gonna move on to his other preferred trade destination in the Miami Heat. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys. We don't see the possibility of the Heat really being a player here. I mean, this offer is one of the few things that kind of makes sense, but there's just not much the Heat want to really give up. Just like with, we saw the report about how the Nets might want Devin Booker with the Suns, or they might want Bam or Jimmy Butler if they trade with the Heat. We don't know how much true that is. I don't really see that stuff coming to light, but here's this Heat Nets deal, Matt. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I don't really like it either, but if they can't work something out with, Phoenix, I think they might pivot over to the Heat. Maybe Jimmy Butler gets thrown into it. We didn't put Jimmy Butler into this, but I mean, if you're the Miami Heat, you can basically swap out Jimmy Butler for Kevin Durant. I think you do it not a 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
But as far as the deal we have here, I mean, it's not the greatest for the Nets because, I mean, they get a nice player in Tyler Hero. Duncan Robinson has shown some flashes in the league. But, Kyle Lowry's a little older, and he was kind of breaking down towards, the end of the year here. But they do get some picks. For those that are probably wondering about Bam Adebayo, they can't actually acquire him because they have Ben Simmons on the roster, and they can't have two designated rookie guys acquired via trade. So that doesn't work. So unless they want to get rid of Ben Simmons, they can't get Bam Adebayo. And I think if you have a chance to get Bam Adebayo in this deal, you ship Ben Simmons somewhere else, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But the picks they get back are decent here too, but I think the Phoenix deal is easily the better of these two so far.
Of the preferred destinations, I would agree. The one thing I will say about this deal is if you kind of look at things like Brooklyn, I think is kind of going to be faced with sort of building around Ben Simmons to some degree. And when you think about that, I feel like these are kind of the perfect guys you want to build around Ben Simmons, just absolute knockdown shooters. So if you're, just trying to shed some light on this possible deal, I think that's kind of where it would be. Again, not my favorite deal in the world, but we had to throw it in here because, as we all saw, Phoenix and Miami were the preferred destinations of Kevin Durant. Now, these next two are a little bit more out there, but they make some sense. And it's just, kind of throwing some different possibilities out there. This next one, the New Orleans Pelicans. I mean, look at the deal. We got Kevin Durant to the Pelicans for Brandon Ingram, Jackson Hayes, Trey Murphy, 4 firsts and a second. Now, it's weird. You're not really getting, depending on how you feel about Brandon Ingram, that's going to kind of determine how you feel about this trade. Brandon Ingram is a hell of a player, plus 4 firsts and 2 young players as well. Like, it's pretty good. And if you're the Pelicans, again, having that opportunity to pair Zion and Kevin Durant is unreal. Like, there's no duo we've seen like that ever, really. And so, yeah, how are we feeling about this one, Matt?
I mean, out of the 3, this could be the best one. I think what it comes down to is if Kevin Durant's willing to play in the city of New Orleans, because quite frankly, they might be too small of a market. I know he played in Oklahoma City, but this is a little different. But I think the fit of Durant with the Pelicans is perfect because he would be, they traded away Ingram, they traded away Hayes and Murphy, but they still have Zion, as you said. They still have CJ McCollum. They still have Herb Jones. Like, I think the Pelicans could easily be vaulted into title contenders with this move.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I think Brandon Ingram is the best player between these 3 deals. He's better than DeAndre Ayton. He's better than Tyler Hero. So if you're the Nets, you're getting a young guy to build around. And wouldn't it be something if Brandon Ingram gets traded again for a superstar? It's like he gets traded for Anthony Davis and now he gets traded for Kevin Durant. Like, it would just be such an interesting, fact. But then, the draft picks here as well, work for the Nets too. So I think this deal, I might take this deal over the Phoenix deal just slightly because you still need to see how Murphy grows and how Hayes grow, right? But you know what Ingram is. Ingram is going to be a star in this league. We've seen it. We saw it in the playoffs this year. And you get the draft compensation. So I think this deal is number one. It's just a matter if the Pelicans and Kevin Durant can find a way to work together.
I like this as well. And again, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of things with these deals are a little bit of an asterisk in my opinion because we don't know what they're going to do with Kyrie Irving, Yep. So it's kind of hard to consider these now because you don't know what they're going to do for Kyrie Irving. Maybe they don't have a ball handler really and you'd rather get a guard or whatever it is. Or even like this, like Brandon Ingram and Kyrie is a good duo. Like, that's a good duo. I think obviously Kyrie is more than likely on his way out as well. But I really do like this deal as well. I'm kind of with you. I think this would be my favorite one as well. You still get 4 picks, 4 firsts, and another little bit of a different thing is they're closer to happening than the other picks. You got a 2023 and 2 2024s, and you still have a future 2026. So there's a little bit more of you see your return sooner rather than later, which could entice the Nets as well. And this last one, It is a doozy. I'm gonna tell you that. There's been, the team's thrown around with everything. I'm gonna let Matt talk about it as well, but this was not Matt's idea, and you will see why once we click on it. Matt, break down this monstrosity of a deal here.
Yeah, so just want to clarify that this was not my idea. Brian Windhorst, I want to say maybe 10 minutes before we jumped on here, decided to drop this news that it's been floated around the league. The Lakers could potentially trade for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving because Woj said that the two still want to play together, just not in Brooklyn. There's not many teams around the league that can offer the amount of salary that would be needed to go back to Brooklyn. So the Lakers make some sense because Kyrie has, at least we've all seen, it kind of looks like he's all but to be a Laker, barring some crazy thing that happens, right? So the Lakers get Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, so obviously it's a win for them, right? The reason that this works for the Nets is because they get a star player, to arguably top 10 player, probably top 10 player, in Anthony Davis to build around right there, right? You then get a player in Gordon Hayward, Kelly Oubre Jr., Terry Rozier, Taylor Horton-Tucker, and draft picks. The reason that we included the Hornets in this deal is because the Lakers are not going to be able to – the Nets aren't sending Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving to the Lakers for Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis. That's just not happening. Like, the Nets want nothing to do with Russell Westbrook. So Russell Westbrook goes to the Hornets, who have shown interest in him, or at least it's been reported heavily that the Hornets are interested in Westbrook. Because for the Hornets, they get off of Hayward's contract. They get off of Terry Rozier's contract. They get a $47 million expiring contract, plus a couple second-round picks. So they get cap relief.
Major cap relief.
Major cap relief. And for the Nets, you're not probably going to win a championship with the team you just put together. But now you have a bunch of pieces that you can trade off. Or maybe you make the playoffs for the next couple of years. You still get a couple draft picks. And honestly, 2027, 2029, yes, they seem far off, but are the Lakers really going to be that good with this three-headed monster they would be building? Mm-hmm. LeBron's a little older. Durant's older. Kyrie's, 30?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it kind of makes sense in a way. I mean, this is Laker nonsense. I will be the first to say this. This is straight-up Laker nonsense. But, again, Brian Windhorst said this. It wasn't like it was some fan theory that came out. He said that executives around the league have talked about this. So I think Twitter would actually burn down if this were to happen.
Yeah, this would be probably the craziest deal we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And really in a lot of sports, maybe every sport. But again, if you are the Nets at the end of the day, you're not getting a player better than Anthony Davis. So, no matter what's attached to him, it'd be kind of hard to say no at the end of the day. It really would be. I mean, obviously taking on Hayward, Oubre, and Rozier is a little bit of a, maybe that's kind of why they wouldn't do the deal. But I mean, if you're looking at it, obviously we have 5 people here. Not that this would be the Nets starting lineup, but I mean, Hayward with Davis, Oubre, Rozier, those are all pretty much outside of Anthony Davis. They're all decent role players that have shown flashes in the past, which is why they got the major contract that they're currently on, the teams want to get out of. So it would create a little bit of a, what are the Nets going to do next? But they don't care because they have Anthony Davis to pair with Ben Simmons too. That's another factor. Anthony Davis and Ben Simmons is a pretty interesting duo, if we're going to be honest here. It's not. It seems.
Here's the thing. It's not the worst case situation for the Nets because, maybe they want more draft capital, right? But I think the talent of Anthony Davis kind of changes that a little bit. You can argue Brandon Ingram might be more valued of a player, but he's not better than Anthony Davis. When Anthony Davis is actually on the court, he's not better than Anthony Davis. That you cannot dispute that whatsoever.
Sure.
So I think for the Lakers, it makes sense, obviously. The Nets, it makes sense, and the Hornets make sense. This is a trade I don't see happening. I highly doubt that this happens. But if it did, man, would the balance of power shift.
Yeah.
You would then be teaming up LeBron James and Kevin Durant, and wow.
Yeah, it would.
I don't think we have ever seen a team like that before.
It would certainly be something, free agency is kind of getting kicked off. So, make sure you're following along on all the TWSN social medias. Subscribe here on the YouTube channel, and you literally won't miss a thing following TWSN. I can promise you that. But that's going to wrap up this Kevin Durant saga of a trade story, trade day, deadline. Everything about it is just crazy in the NBA right now. But that's why we love it. That's why the NBA offseason is so fun. Most importantly, we're looking forward to seeing you guys again on the TWSN YouTube channel here soon.